1985 was definitely a special year.
Our defense and our special teams were incredible that year.
We just built ourselves into being beasts.
A great season.
It was incredible. It's probably the most incredible thing that I've accomplished in.
Just great players.
I think coming in the year that we thought that at any point that was our destiny.
It was a hard-fought game.
Hillsdale was able to claim its first national championship, and to this point, its only kind of team national championship in school history. Football's always been a huge part at Hillsdale, a huge part of life at Hillsdale College. You go back to the first teams in the 1890s, to like teams that had major success in the 30s, to the years of muddy waters in the 60s and 70s, up to today. The 80s can be characterized very rightly as kind of a golden age for Hillsdale College football.
All right, so let's talk about Hillsdale in the 80s. My first description would be this. Most of our team probably would have struggled to get into Hillsdale College now.
But at the core, I think, foundationally, the principles, I think, are pretty similar. I mean, the academic rigors are way more difficult for you guys. But I think that the idea the motto when we were there was family, church, and local community.
I needed to study, and that was a big thing. And one of the competitive things was between us, not only football, but who could beat who in class. And people don't remember that. We were the highest academic achieving organization on campus, and we were national champions. My first semester here, I got an F on my first paper. I ended up in kind of a detention writing center with the professor, Dr. Rice, but I ended up with like a 2.75 at the end of that semester, and Coach Lowry came over to Simpson dorm after the semester, sat down on my bed, and he said, "Hey, Cookie, how'd you think your semester went?" And I said, "Well, I probably could do a little bit better." He's like, "I'm glad you see it that way, because if it's not above a 3.0 in the next semester, I got a ticket for your ass out of here. You understand me?" And I said, "Yes, sir."
Dick Lowry was, the best way to describe him is he was a winner. I mean, in virtually everything he did in life, and certainly football.
Dick Lowry grew up in Berea, Ohio. Shortly after he got out of college, he got into coaching. He became a head coach in high schools around Ohio for about a decade. His success at the high school level made him a very attractive potential hire for colleges, and at Wayne State, he took Wayne State to heights that Wayne State had never seen. He took a team that had been kind of a laughingstock in the GLIAC and immediately made them competitive. They were contending for conference titles. He was at Wayne State for 6 years. He left there as the winningest coach. I believe he's still the second winningest coach, despite only having been there 6 years in Wayne State history. But Hillsdale came calling, and Hillsdale was in the conference with Wayne State, so Dick Lowry had kind of a first-hand look at Hillsdale, and he made the judgment that Hillsdale had a higher ceiling, that he could build a stronger, more competitive, more likely to win a national title program at Hillsdale than he could at Wayne State with the support that Hillsdale had. Also, I think Hillsdale's mission and culture really appealed to him. So he decided to come over in 1980. Hillsdale was at an absolute low point at that point, coming off two of its worst seasons in program history, and he immediately won a conference title in his first year with the players he had at that point, and then hit the recruiting trail hard, and that kind of blossomed into what you see in 85 today.
I almost went to college for wrestling at U of M. Had offered to go there, but I loved Coach Lowry from the start, and I said, no, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there and play. But the pregame speeches when he came in, which to me, my high school coach was really physical, rah-rah, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And Coach Lowry would come in and say, Father, please keep everybody on both sides safe, number one. Number two, let them play as hard as they can. And number three, let the school board take care of itself. And he'd say, y'all ready? And then we would go. That was it every time. And it was, you might think, well, that's foolish, but we got to love that. Like, we got to learn, like, that was like, he was taming the lion, and now he was unleashing us. Like, show me what you got at this point in time.
Really did a fabulous job of rebuilding the program. I mean, the Muddy Waters regime back in the 50s and 60s, it was, one of the best football programs in the country. And it had kind of fallen away. And he weeded out the weak and held very tough practices, and really the cream rose to the top.
I mean, when times when you could have gotten really upset and nervous, like tight games, and it's really intense, he just never lost his cool. We look over there, he had the same expression on his face. And he'd just say, "Cook, come here." And it would never be to yell at me or swear at me. It'd be like, what do we need to do? I mean, think about that. Offensive lineman standing with the coach. What do we need to do? And it was very interesting at that point.
I think people in the school will a lot of times ask about the 1982 team that they have I think the record for most wins in a season, and they made it to the semifinals. Some of us were on that team as freshmen. I was on the team, and I think a couple of us were on the team at that point. And so we got to be around that and got to experience the success for that year, and then to be a part of going far into the playoffs but coming up short. And then to compare that maybe to the 85 team, and then we got one game further than they did in the championship.
But the 82 team really set the tone for us, and we really rode on the shoulders of those dinosaurs.
It was them that started the ball rolling, that, hey, Hillsdale can win. Hillsdale can play football, we can be smart, and we can win. And those guys, even though they didn't win the national championship, they were a critical part to guys like me to carry the torch, and like, this is what you got to do at that point.
I think people were in a real different spot coming into the senior year, and I think we thought that we had the ability to be a good team, but I don't know if any of us thought anything more than just coming out and trying to play well.
Really, the engine of the team was Mike Gatt and at quarterback, and the passing game with two really phenomenal receivers in Dave Mifsud and Jeff Lantis. So they were a rarity for the era in terms of having more passing yards and rushing yards on the season, and those guys were a very important part of making that happen. But really, the story of the team, the 1985 team, is the defense. The defense, probably the best defense in the nation. Certainly one of the best defenses in the school history, just loaded with talent from top to bottom, just made massive impacts, and they dominated people. I mean, they only gave up more than 21 points in 2 games that year.
Our success, I think, at least offensively, was that we didn't change things a whole lot throughout the time I was there, and the 3 years of starting. We did a lot of the same plays, but we just became really, really good at it.
Hillsdale came out very strong at the start of the season. They beat they won a couple of non-conference games in a row, very dominantly against Wisconsin and Whitewater, but they had bounced back very quickly, dominant victories, rolled through the rest of the regular season to win the GLIAC title.
Here is the call by Mike Gatt on second down. Give off again to the tailback.
In the first round of the NAIA playoffs, they played Salem from West Virginia.
I'll never forget, we started out behind. They kicked a field goal and we were down 3-0 in the first quarter, and yet we won 45-3. So
Here is the 3rd down and 4 call, and the pitch out is to Strickland. Strickland will put him in position. Is at the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Mark Strickland going wide. I really, honestly hated to see that score.
our defense showed up and really put the hammer down on Salem, and offensively we were good enough to score plenty of points to get to the next level.
It's over. And Hillsdale College wins the NAIA quarterfinal playoff over the Salem College Tigers of Salem, West Virginia by a score of 47-3.
That got them a rematch with Mesa. Mesa was the team that had beaten them 18-9 and ended that 82 run.
You know, that game was very unique in that we're down 21-0 going into the fourth quarter, and there wasn't a whole lot to cheer about. We weren't getting the job done, and a guy by the name of Jeff Hubert, our defensive captain and strong safety, towards the end of the third quarter, just came across and made a great play. He lit up this tailback from Mesa College. They were running a screenplay, and that kind of got us fired up. And then we blocked a field goal, and that kind of got us fired up. And then on offense, Mike Gatt, our quarterback, he saw something on the defense and decided to sneak the ball. So he took a quarterback sneak almost 50 yards. And all of a sudden, we had a little mojo going, and really in the fourth quarter, it was 21-0, and we scored a touchdown, and then our defense put the hammer on them, and then Tim Grody scored a touchdown, and then we had a great play from Mike Gatt to his brother Jeff Gatt, kind of a flare to the tailback. And he got us down to the 3-yard line, and all of a sudden we're all tied up. And so we go into overtime, and we flip a coin, and we get the ball on the 25-yard line, and away you go. And each team gets a chance, and we went for it on fourth down and didn't make it. So we think, this is going to be a tough go of it. And sure enough, our defense held, and not only did we hold, we ended up. We had pass interference in the end zone, so they had the ball first and goal on the 1-yard line, or 3-yard line going in, and our defense held 4 straight downs. And so it was really, really miraculous, quite line, and ran a couple plays and kicked a field goal to win it in double overtime. So that was probably the most exciting victory I've ever been associated with in my lifetime. And I think for most of the guys it would be the same.
I think we felt really good about going into the championship game. I think we felt like we deserved to be there. We had come off that big Mesa win, and to be able to come back the way that we did showed a lot about the character of the team and the resiliency of the team. So I think we felt like we were in a really good spot to play in that game. I don't think anyone was overconfident or thought that it was necessarily going to be a cakewalk or anything like that, but I think we all felt like we deserved to be there, and we're excited to play in it.
It was a hard-fought game. I think it was very cold. It was a defensive battle. I know Central Arkansas got up early on Hillsdale. They got the first touchdown in the game. They were leading 10-3, and Hillsdale was able to put a drive together. I believe that about 5 minutes to go in the game.
We play, it's December, and the grass is dormant. So they had to paint the lines and the numbers on the you'll see it on the film, on the football field purple, so you could see it. So that was different. Playing football in December was different, but great. And again, we got off to a slow start. We held them to 10 points. It was 10-0 at halftime. Kicked a field goal to get close. And really, in the fourth quarter, we're down 10-3, and not looking good. And a third-string wide receiver named Scott Sugg, broken play. Mike Gatt, our quarterback, finds him. He scampers 40 yards for a touchdown, and we tie it up with just a few minutes to go.
And the important thing to know is at that point, the championship game of the NAIA did not have overtime. If it finished in a tie. It finished in a tie, and both teams were crowned as national champion. And that's what happened on that day. Hillsdale got behind early, battled back. Mike Gatt threw a game-tying touchdown pass to Steve Sugg late in the contest to get it 10-10. Neither team was able to kind of get the victory, but that by tying that game, Hillsdale was able to claim its first national championship.
It's hard to describe. It was just really hard to describe. It was a hard-fought game. It was a fair game. I mean, we went head-to-head, and it was hard. And some people will ask, like, at the end of the game, what happened? I think at the end of the game, we felt blessed that we scored a touchdown because it was not an easy touchdown to score. We never knew because we were on the field that there were discussions about should we go for two and go for the win or kick the field. You know, to be honest with you, at that time, we were so daggone tired. We just wanted to score again, and we didn't care how. And we just, to be honest with you, people ask, well, were you mad that you tied? I'm like, I don't know that I was mad. If hindsight's 20/20, maybe go back and go for the win. But no, I don't question Coach Lowry. He made the decision, and if he made that decision, it was the right decision.
It was incredible. It's probably the most incredible thing that I've accomplished in sports or in football for sure. I think it was just a culmination of a lot of emotion, but a lot of kind of disbelief that we got there, we did it, and like I said, I don't think coming in the year that we thought that at any point that was our destiny, and to be there, to be competitive, successful, and to have it turn out the way it did was just it was incredible. I think the idea was we didn't want to take a chance to either turn the ball over or let them have an opportunity to score, and it just seemed like the right decision to do at the time. But I don't remember having any strong feelings one way or another of not thinking that it was the right decision or that we should do something differently. It just seemed like it was the right decision at the time with the flow of the game and what was going on.
We're all kind of, we shake hands with the opposing team, and we kind of go over in the end zone. It's pretty quiet. And Dick Lowry walks over and he goes, "Gentlemen, I know you don't think about it right now. You're not thinking about this right now, but you are national champions. And 10 years from now, when you look back on this, you're going to be national champions. What more could you possibly want?" And one of our smart aleck defensive tackles yells, "We want rings, coach." And one of our trustees stepped forward and said, "We're all going to get rings." And so then we were happy. So we had everybody has a national championship ring, so we were happy.
It's party time, and we were fired up, but we just really all came together. Like, it was really, really touching how close all of us were.
I think when we flew in, we got on the bus, and I think there was a police escort from the airport back into Hillsdale, and so that was really cool. And being on campus was incredible. It was, everyone was excited, obviously, and very happy. And I think it was December time that it happened. But I think some of us still had to take tests. I think I had to still take some tests because it was toward the end of a semester or whatever. So there's still academic stuff to take care of and to be a part of as well. But it was great. It was awesome to be there, and people were just like you'd probably imagine, everyone was really happy. It was kind of, no one really thought in the beginning that it was going to happen, and then it happens, and here we are, a little school, and in here in Michigan doing that and winning it. So it was electric. It was great. It was fun.
When we come back, college looks different. The field looks different. But when we see each other, it's an instant love.
a great season, just great players, and a lot of players that really stepped up at different times to do great things. And I think that I don't know that we had, one player who just dominated and helped us. It was truly a team effort.
Bottom line is the success from that 1985 class, if you tracked and asked each one of them how they've done, like with Mike Gatt coming in, he's a doctor. Okay, he was a doctor, he's our quarterback. Amazing. Jeff Lantis working here at Hillsdale College. I was a teacher. I would like to think highly successful. Now I'm successful as a financial advisor, managing portfolios that I never thought I would ever touch something like that. I mean, it just is amazing. Greg Milchuk, who I talked to, he's the head. He's making sales and auto auctions and just doing a great job. Tim McGrath, who was a defensive back, he worked on the Chicago Board of Exchange. He was a bond trader and one of the best in the world. The kid, he was incredible, but we still talk. There's the communication on there, and like Frank Romano on the poster, if we see each other, it's instantaneous. We all come together.
After the program, it kind of hit a rough patch. You have a new legendary coach in Dick Lowry.
He basically taught me, do your best and don't sweat the rest. And he would say that a lot of times in practice, do your best, don't sweat the rest. I did well in teaching to the point where I'd had all of the honors, that come with teaching. I was honored just to be there and have parents trust me with their kids. But my wife said, hey, I think it's time that you go into your next career. And I was already a financial advisor, and again, work hard and good things happen. The guy that owns my branch office, who I've worked for since 1989, he said, what are your goals? I said, I'm going to be the top producer in this branch office in 10 years. And he looked at me and kind of smirked, and I said, we'll see. I did it in 8. That's Dick Lowry.
You have new star players that are all Americans and kind of making an impact. We talked about several of them. You have this run of success that culminates in something really, really special, a national title. And I think that it's easy to take for granted, but you look at over 130 years of history at Hillsdale College. All of the sports Hillsdale College offers, the number of close calls they've had in track, in volleyball, in basketball, even in football, again, as we've talked about. This is the only team to get all the way to the top of the mountain and win the national title. And I think it speaks to just how hard that achievement is and how special this run was and this group was for making this happen.